Good morning, everybody. There we go, another blurry camera. What the freak is going on with Gainesville Wi-Fi? Just another episode of the Investing Bros with the 7-Pixel Tim. It's going to be a great show anyway, guys. We had a lot to talk about because, as the title suggests, Gary Gensler did not have a fun time yesterday. We're going to talk about that and a lot more. What is coming out of that congressional hearing that Gary had to endure just a absolute beating in for a couple of hours. We're also going to be talking about some bad news coming out of the UK as inflation is over 10% at 10.1. What does that mean not only for the UK, but for crypto in general? We got a lot of other things to cover as well. A lot of you guys were expecting, as we announced yesterday, that Crypto Archie would be joining us today. Unfortunately, there's a little bit of a miscommunication. He will be joining us on another show, but he will still be on TA Talks this afternoon over on the Chart Prime Discord. So all of our Patreon members or Chart Prime Premium guests, you guys will still get to hear him a little bit later today at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you do not if you're not signed up for that, there's two ways. Again, you can either go get Chart Prime and get a great indicator, or you can join our Patreon. You can check out the links down below and you get access to an amazing interview. But Archie will be joining the show here soon. We just don't know when. So our apologies for misrepresenting that. However, we still have an amazing cast, an amazing show to put on here. I am joined by two absolutely fantastic goobers. Goober number one, sitting across the desk from me, Mr. T. Shroom. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing better than I deserve, Tim. I really am. It's been a little bit of a crazy morning, but we're having fun, and we want to bring you this quote here from somebody that you probably never thought of would be quoted here on the Investing Bros, and that's Marilyn Monroe. She said, "I'm selfish, impatient, and a little insecure. I make mistakes. I'm out of control, at times hard to handle. But if you can't handle me at my worst, then you sure as hell don't deserve me at my best."
Sounds like lyrics to a Taylor Swift song.
It does. It does.
Maybe she steals them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. Well, also, you guys can't tell because of my pixels, and I don't know why. Before the show, it really isn't that bad. And then it's like we go live, and it just decides, you know what? Screw Tim's camera. We're going to just destroy that. But we're also brought to you guys today by Bubbly Bounce, a caffeinated sparkling water, citrus cherry.
It's caffeinated now?
Well, I thought that was weird, too. I didn't know that they could caffeinate sparkling water.
They can caffeinate anything.
But they did it. They found a way over there at Bubbly, and they are bringing us again new flavor. I kind of like it. I think at this point it's a little bit better than blueberry pomegranate. It's it definitely it tingles the taste buds. It's very good. But Piper, what do you think about that, and how are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm HD. I'm high def for sure. But I'm doing great. Someone said that the reason that your camera cannot go high def on a broadcast is because the internet cannot handle 4K beard. So
probably it's a very realistic probability of that is the problem.
Possible.
And with all of my experience of technology, which is about zero, it makes a lot of sense to me. So we're going to go with that as our excuse for this morning, is that it cannot handle the beard. Sounds like a good excuse for me. Go ahead, everybody, and smash that like button. We had 100 people. It went down a little bit, but we had 100 people in here watching. Only 31 likes, though. Got to go ahead and get those likes smashed. If you are new here and you enjoy Blurry Tims, then you can go ahead and subscribe to the channel as well, because that has been happening a lot here recently. Should be going away here in a couple of weeks after I move. Maybe, I don't know, next week when you guys are in Austin and I get the Wi-Fi to myself, we don't have to be pulling it from T. Shroom's computer. Maybe then the camera decides to clear up. I do not know. But either way, go ahead and smash that like and subscribe button. Question of the day, the poll here, and it kind of threw it together here last second. I want to get your guys' takes on this. I want everyone in chat to go ahead and vote. Only 52 of you have voted on this. I want to hear your opinions. Like we said, Gary Gensler did not have a great day yesterday. We're going to talk more about that. However, whether he's fired, whether something else happens, how long will Gary Gensler remain an SEC chairman? T. Shroom, do you think 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, or no, he's just going to finish out his term? Nothing bad is going to happen. What are your thoughts about Gary Gensler?
I think he's probably got another 2 months. I think
change it up.
I think he's probably going to be out before then. There were some ways that they were grilling him yesterday, and some of the things that they were saying they kind of led me to believe that they're ready to take some action. And by they, I mean Congress, ready to take some action and get him out of there. Just simply because the way he was answering those questions yesterday, he was saying that he was trying to give answers as if he was being definitive and decisive, but then it sounded decisive and definitive, but he wasn't actually answering the questions. And the people there were able to see right through that. And they were, one of them even concluded, okay, well, it sounds like we're going to have to take this into our hands and get somebody who's right for the job.
Interesting. What about you, Piper? What are your thoughts?
So Rick Wilson asked a really good question. Can only the president get rid of Gary Gensler, or can Congress do that on their own?
It's Congress.
Okay. So there's your answer to that, Rick Wilson. Also, you are now a crypto punk, according to Crux of Crypto, Tim. So
you know what, Crux? I still like you, even if you call me bad names and make fun of me on the show. That's the type of person I am, that I will continue to love you no matter what.
That is funny, though.
Speaking of people that I love, it's time to read some names of people in chat.
Hold on, I got to tell you my opinion on Gary Gensler.
You decided to use your time to pass on an insult on another person.
I thought it was hilariously funny. I think Pixel Tim is a great new name for you. But look, now you're high def. You're high def. So I'm going to close it out. Here you go. You ready? I think he's gone in the next 60 days also.
Yeah.
Good.
It was just a harsh tone. It was a harsh tone in that room.
Yeah, I think it could last a little bit longer than 2 months, but I think that he has served his purpose, and so the people who would defend him don't really have much of a need to defend him anymore. I think you guys are right. I think that there's a good chance he switches. According to, I don't know if you guys saw this, but my new employer, not yet technically, but he will be soon, Ben claims that there was things he said yesterday that would constitute him lying under oath. That he went back on some certain things and is going to be exposed. So that's another thing that's going to be interesting to watch that I'm sure, again, with the amount of people in Congress who want him out, if something comes to light that he committed perjury, that could be really big. So we'll continue to keep our eyes on that. But going back to what I was doing originally, we're going to go ahead and read some names of people here in chat and then get into the content on this fantastic show. We start off with, I don't think I've seen this name be at the top of the comment list, but it is this morning, Mr. Ninja Glock. He took advantage of the fact that it took us a little bit longer to post this morning with our last second changes. So he does get to claim the first comment of the day. Right behind him was Al Bundles, working on that bot, getting better, back in second place. So congratulations to you, Mr. Al Bundles. Who else do we have here, though? Coming in close third would be a mellow fellow. The bot, he's still got some tweaking to do over there as well. Crypto JMP is here as well. John Kahn is here. Mr. J, Justin Eubanks, Eric Wallen, Alex Green, which, by the way, I don't know how much longer Alex Green's going to be with us. With the amount of warnings he keeps picking up over in Discord for using all caps, I think the internet might just go ahead and get rid of him for all of his threats. We'll have to see about that. But, for while you're still here, Alex, we're very glad to see your name. Who else do we have? Gia S is here this morning. Who else do we got? Crux of Crypto, one of our favorite, I guess my new hater, who also happens to have a blue wrench. So we'll see how that works out. To be fair, he joins good company because Crypto Set Guy is also one of my best frenemies, and he has a blue wrench as well. So join the club. I think they meet on Thursdays, Crux. And anyone else wants to join that, I guess you guys can as well. Yer Navarro is here. Brian D. Crypto Ben Franklin. Good to see your name in here, my friend. Elliot Locke is here. Who else? What do we have? Let's get a couple more, and then we'll move on with our show. Joe Nickel is here, the classic IT guy. And let's get two more, and then we're moving on. Next two names I see that I have not read. Alton Henderson, and then the last one, I think I said that name already, so I'm going to keep moving. Curtis Rorick is also here. Shout out to everybody in chat. Now, I am very sure today I did not get to read everybody's name, and I deeply, deeply apologize. I love each and every single last one of you, but it is time to go ahead and move on into the content, starting off with Mr. Piper, and we're going to be talking about the economic outlook, starting with the fact that the UK had some pretty bad news when it comes to inflation. Piper, go ahead and take us into that, and what else are we concerned about or we're looking forward to in our next couple of days for the economic outlook?
All right, great. Let's take a look here. So today, guys, we had the inflation rate come in 12 a.m. my time. So this would have been 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time that this came in. And that would be the inflation rate for the UK. Came in at 10.1. Previously was at 10.4. They were expecting on the consensus that it would be down, but forecasted it to be a little higher than what it came in at there. So 10.1 is what we're looking at there on that. Also, their month of the month rate for their inflation came in at 0.8, so 0.8%. Previously was at 1.1%. They were expecting it to be 0.5 or 0.3, depending on the consensus or the forecast on that. However, came in at 0.8, so it came down a little bit for month over month, lower than last month. But not as much of it's still higher, but less than last month. So not as low as they wanted it to be. So that's what they're looking at there. Let's see here. European areas inflation rate came in year over year. Previously was at 8.5%. Consensus and forecast was 6.9%. It actually did come in at that neutral at 6.9%. So something that we're seeing here, Europe doing a little bit better on their inflation rate versus the UK. So, I've heard some people say that Brexit has just been an absolute terror on the economy of Great Britain. So that might be a little bit of what we're seeing here. So, Yep. 30-year fixed rate mortgages in the United States came out. It is at 6.43%. So we had a little tick up there in the inflation rate or in the mortgage rate. So if you're trying to buy a house, I'd wait. Not financial advice, just sound advice. It's logic. Let's see here. Tomorrow we do have some crude oil stocks changes coming in today. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm sure that T-Shroom's going to show us how the oil is doing because he likes to play that energy sector. That's right.
That's right.
And then tomorrow, guys, the next big thing that we have coming in for the U.S. is going to be initial jobless claims tomorrow. And then we're going to wrap it out on Friday with retail sales and a lot of stuff going on in Great Britain and Europe. So that's what we have there, Tim, and that's what we're looking at. Let's jump over, take a look at the Trueflation. Trueflation today down 0.01%, I should say. It is coming in at 4.31% on Trueflation, and as we know, it is currently 5 according to the federal government's methodology. So that's what we have there, Tim.
Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, I'm about to show you guys the Fed rate tool and the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, but special shout out really quickly to Crypto Mini Bike, who says it is my birthday today. So happy birthday, Crypto Mini Bike.
There you go.
Love that you're joining us on your birthday morning. That is awesome. And also special shout out, because we don't get to shout him out very often, to Mr. Tom Wilkes, one of our Diamond members, and he's a Blue Wrench as well, saying, Tim, or Investing Bros, at least you aren't pixelated in real life, Tim. Here's the deal, Tom. I know you know because you've met me, but maybe the rest of them don't trust you, and maybe I am pixelated in real life. Maybe this is crystal clear camera work, and that's just what I actually look like. You're going to have to wait to find out, though, because I'm not going to be able to be in Austin and see your guys' beautiful faces over there. So maybe next year, maybe sometime later this year at a conference.
Tim is a glitch in the Matrix.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and go. I guess you're already on my screen here. We still have 14 days. So 2 weeks away today, we're going to be getting our good old FOMC meeting from Jerome Powell. These things I do think have gotten a little bit less significant, but we're going to continue to watch this. We kind of camped out here. The predictors have kind of camped out. There's about 86, 85% that have just decided this is it. We're doing 25 basis points. But 14, 15%, they've been still saying we're going to pause rates. So a lot can change in 2 weeks, but the fact that we've kind of camped out in this area, unless something massive comes into the news, I think it's pretty safe to say that we're going to get this 25 basis point rate hike. And again, I want to remind you guys, I'm getting to be a little bit of a broken record here, but this is a bullish sign that despite the fact that we know that this is what is coming, this is the likelihood, we're pricing this in, Bitcoin and crypto, for the macro timeline, is still moving to the upside. Obviously, we had a big dip last night. We're going to talk about that here in just a couple of minutes. But let's go over to our Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, where we are sitting at 63. Those of you guys know, yesterday we did dip down to 58 after 2 days ago's dip. Then, of course, we had a nice little pullback yesterday afternoon, got us back up into the 60s, back up to 63. And then this morning at about 4 a.m., Bitcoin did dip back down. Speaking of, let's go ahead and take a look at those charts. Let's go all the way down to this hourly chart. And this did rattle. I mean, I woke up this morning probably about 5 a.m., looked at my screen. I was like, oh, wow, Bitcoin's back down to the lower 29,000s. Not a big deal. But what could have sparked this? You guys are seeing in this 1 hour candle, at 4 a.m., we had Bitcoin drop. I didn't even check the official length of this candle. What did it drop? It dropped about almost three. Let's go ahead and call it with the wick. It dropped 3.5%, and ended up closing here at about 29,100, almost 21,200, which is a level we've been talking about for the last couple of days, is a strong level of support. The question is, what really caused this? And we're going to talk more about this in the news section, but we got two pieces of data that possibly could lean into this. Of course, as we already discussed, we did get news around midnight here in the United States, Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, for all of our fans and friends in the UK, this would have been early in the morning for you guys. I guess that would have been, well, if it was midnight, okay, it was midnight there, so 2 a.m. here. My bad, 2 a.m. here. That would have made it 7 a.m. over there in the UK. They got the news that their inflation is sitting at 10.1%. Obviously, that's going to probably be the main one that indicates here, but what's really funny is that it came out at 4. The candle dropped at 4, despite the fact that news came out 2 hours earlier, at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Another thing that we found out last night around midnight is that Russia now is allowing for domestic exchanges of currency to be done in cryptocurrency. So that could be a little bit bullish, but I also could see whales here kind of saying, all right, there's some news there. Let me go ahead and sell off and get another good buying spot. Not significant enough for us to be a full-on like manipulative move, but you guys are noticing I have this nice yellow box. We kind of ever since back here on the 10th of April, we've kind of started to move into a sideways range again. We've talked about this before. We were in a sideways range here from March to, this would be March 17th or so, all the way until about April 9th or 10th. Then we had a nice little pump, but now we're starting to trade sideways again. This is still bullish in the long term, but I guess, I definitely understand why people are getting a little bit frustrated here. The reason I know this is a sideways trend is when you start seeing, as we've said before, when you start seeing the bearish and bullish indicators be respected every single time, that's a good sign that we're in a sideways trading channel. Sure enough, that's exactly what we're seeing happen on the hour and 4 hour chart. If you guys were coming here on Sharp Prime and look at these indicators, we ignored this one during the little rally, but then we had a peak seeker, had a nice call there. We had some green reversal triangles. They marked the bottom. Then we had a red triangle. That one didn't quite make it, but then we, of course, had some red momentums, made a good call. And over here, as a whole, almost every single one of those, we ignored this peak seeker, but that red triangle was good. This oversold, started off good. Bullish divergence ended up calling the bottom. Then we got overbought once again, calling the top. And now we are flashing a green triangle, oversold on the hourly chart as we are back here towards our bottom level of support. Let's go over here to the 4 hour chart, take a look at what it is doing within these angles. We talked about this yesterday, had a great oversold. Sorry, a little bit of a cherry bubbly in the throat there again. Kind of messing me up. We had a great call right here with our oversold green triangle, ended up rallying back up 5%, regaining all the losses we'd had the day before. And then over the period of literally a couple of minutes here at 4 a.m., we ended up getting rid of all those gains, coming back down to support, touching our 4 hour dynamic reactor. I am going to say this is going to be something interesting to watch. I think we could dip a little lower. We told you guys, I think I said 28.8 is my kind of comfort level of saying, hey, as long as we stay above 28.8, I'm not that worried about Bitcoin right now. Piper did kind of correct me there, which I'm very glad he did. In reality, it's more like 28.6 is the level we should be watching and saying as long as we stay above 28.6. And you're going to notice based off of how this chart is kind of moving, that would also bring us back down to this red line, which was that resistance level in our megaphone pattern that we have been using as support now for a while. So again, could Bitcoin be done? Absolutely, it could. Could we be wrong here at the Investing Bros? And is Bitcoin topped out and is it heading down, back down to lower 20,000s? It absolutely could, everybody. But at the same time, doesn't mean it absolutely has to. We're still sitting in a bullish camp of saying like, hey, we're setting higher highs on the macro. If we were to go to the daily chart, we are still setting higher highs and higher lows. The momentum has slowed down for sure, But as we know from looking at previous bull trends, bull markets, momentum can slow down at times and then explosion comes back in. We are still looking for a catalyst to happen. And yesterday, again, I think the beginning works of getting Gary Gensler out. I believe that that could be a catalyst that could really spark some more interest in the crypto space. I think also when you start to pair with things of like, hey, we got 2 more weeks. We're still pricing in 25 basis points. A lot of things could happen. Jerome Powell could kind of insinuate that that's the end. And then we get a pump up into the Bitcoin conference 2023. There's still things lining up that we could see some bullish momentum. That being said, let's come back out here to the macro timeline. I'm just going to kind of let you guys know where I'm still camping out here with what I'm predicting for Bitcoin and what I'm preparing to do. This is not financial advice. This is story time with Tim, where Tim tells you what he's doing with his money, and you are more than welcome to do whatever you want to do with yours. I'm still looking at these levels of 36,000, 42,000, and then about 48 to 50,000 as price levels to watch for interest on Bitcoin. I do think, just so you guys know, I've mentioned this before, that sell in May, walk away, that rough summer, that Bitcoin conference coming in, this is all stuff coming in with confluence. We're going to have the G7 event meeting here in May. We're going to have NASDAQ starting to offer Bitcoin and Ethereum later on in May. This all to me is still saying, even if I'm not looking at prices, time-wise, I am looking to take profit and prepare for a big dip later on in May. Let's just go ahead and, because it's nice and juicy and convenient right there, let's call it the Bitcoin conference. Bitcoin 2023 is going to be the selling catalyst for Bitcoin. The question is, where will price get? So there's 2 different things. I'm looking at the price levels and I'm looking at the timeline. I still believe that we could rally all the way up to 50,000. The reason why is because if you were to go back over to 2019, again, which we've been comparing this for a long time, within the matter of just 16 days, we bottomed out right here on June 9th, and then 16 days later, we peaked out back at the golden pocket, reaching all the way up to 13,874, an 85% rally, and it took no time at all after, guess what? Similar things. I mean, we've said this before, I'm broken record, but in case you guys are new here, in case this is the first time you guys are watching Investing Bros, back in 2019, we hit the bottom of the bear market. We ranged sideways. We started to make some momentum, but then we traded sideways, made momentum, traded sideways. A lot of ranging in here that I'm guaranteeing you, people back then were saying, oh, that's it, rally over, we're heading back down. And then in 16 days, an 85% takeoff. So what I'm looking at right now, again, time-wise, I'm taking profits before Bitcoin 2023, but we got a lot of time. Like right now, we're sitting. Today is what is today? The 19th, right?
That's
that
right.
means we have 30 days, 30 or 31 days. I don't know. A month. We have a whole month until Bitcoin Conference 2023. That is, in case people are not good at math. Sometimes I'm not good at math. That means we have double the time that it took 2019 to rally 85% to still have a good rally. And we could still have a good little dip here, back down even to lower $28,000 levels and then still have that explosiveness. My point is I still believe 36, 42, and then 50 are significant levels. I'm going to be open and willing to change my mind based off of that timeline. But that's what I'm going to be doing with my money. That's what I'm going to be watching. Keep your eyes out and continue to learn for yourself. Another thing that I'm looking at this morning on Bitcoin is that the dominance, despite the fact that prices are falling, Bitcoin dominance is back in the green. So this is something to keep your eyes on. This is also part of my prediction that despite the fact that we had a nice pullback here in Bitcoin dominance falling over the last couple of days about 4%, which is pretty significant over the last couple of days, I still believe that this next rally, I think alts will kind of flow with Bitcoin. However, we will see Bitcoin dominance but continue to climb. That climb will continue after the dip. I think that we're going to see over 50% for Bitcoin dominance here for the rest of the summer. And then when the real bull market starts, that's when things flip. Crypto and altcoins really start to take off, taking the lead. And Bitcoin will still climb, just nowhere near as fast as the altcoins. And again, that's coming later this year or early 2024. Is there anything else I want to cover this morning before I throw it over to Piper for some Ethereum? Let's take a look at the Dixie here. The Dixie is green on the day, but as we mentioned yesterday, it's still sitting lower highs, lower lows. Remember, I mentioned this, and that does look, I mean, we're rejected here a little bit below it, but I told you guys yesterday, do not be surprised if the Dixie makes a run back up here towards the 4-hour dynamic reactor and this falling level of resistance. And again, while we are red in the last 4 hours, we're green on the day. The Dixie absolutely could make a climb just like that Bitcoin sitting at its support levels, Ethereum sitting at support levels. Most of crypto is sitting at support levels. But as we make that transition, I want to throw it over to Piper. Hear his thoughts. Feel free to chime in on anything I was talking about there with Bitcoin, Piper, but also what are you seeing for Ethereum? Again, and I have some thoughts too, but I want to hear yours first.
So I think you nailed the Bitcoin, man. You're seeing pretty much the same thing I am. Someone did say they want ADA to drop, and I got to point out that all the people that won the free ADA that we gave away over in Chart Prime Discord, all still in profits. So yeah,
nice.
Yeah, it's great. So taking a look here on Ethereum, guys, right now we did have this pullback here, breaking below our upper gold trade band here. This is the lower level of it, the upper trade level. This is our median. Didn't quite make it to the median on the predictive ranges here from the Smart Money Concepts bundle, but I do got a couple of things I want to show you. We have a massive amount of support coming in right here on a trend line and on the dynamic reactor on the 4 hour for Ethereum. Okay. And there's a couple of other things that are that I'm seeing that are just screaming massive confluence support in that range right there. So check this out. One is our regression trend coming in right at the bottom there on that entire confluence line. And if we go here and we throw on a parallel channel, it's also going to be running right there. And lastly, wait, nope. Oh, that was it. That was it. Yeah, four. That's what I got. 4. Sorry. No, I know what it was. It was, lastly, we are starting to hit into the oversold on the oscillator, which means that we should start to get a turnaround here, get a few more blocks built in here as we continue down and then hit this area and then come back up. I'm not overly concerned about this. I mean, it's a small pullback, but if the grand scheme of things, if I go into the daily and I turn off all this noise here, let's just go take a look. I mean, it's still a higher low. So nothing that is screaming at me to run. Someone asked if I got liquidated on my trade. I did not. My trade entry is down at like 1973, and I am still in profit. Actually, if you look where this wick down to, this came down to 1963. So it wicked just past my entry and then came right back up in. So all of that trade that I took out half of and left the other half in, still in profits by about $70. I'm okay. So.
There you go.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, no, I mean, I mentioned it earlier. You can go back to my, oh yeah, I think you're on my screen. Look at you. Just hats off to Piper this morning. He is on his game. My pixels fixed themselves. This is about to be a good show, I think.
I think so.
If this all keeps going like this. Ethereum, we talked about this before. I'm going to flash over to Bitcoin real quick. We talked about this megaphone pattern that, resisted several times, but Bitcoin got above. Yeah, we had some candles close below it, but ultimately we've been using that as support now for a while. Ethereum, it made a little move of its own to do the exact same thing. It continued to hover, instead of hovering above that resistance level and turning it support, it continued to use it as resistance, but we popped through with a nice amount of volume. We're coming back down and retesting it with this, but that's what I'm saying. Like the 4 hour dynamic reactor is a little bit below us. Absolutely could come back down there. A Piper kind of showed you guys on the oscillators getting those oversold flashes though, along with the confluence of this strong former resistance now turn support. Could we go lower? Absolutely. But I want people to fully understand right now, we're seeing the markets trading in a sideways channel, kind of sideways ranges, which marks that the bulls and the bears, neither one of them have full control in these smaller time frames. So these marks, these indicators that pop up here, overbought, oversold, they're very strong right now. These are some of the times that traders love because you can take advantage of a very easy technical analysis to go ahead and make your calls. I'm not predicting that we bounce here and necessarily within the next 24 hours jump up to new highs for the year. That's not what I'm saying. But we are starting to see, again, on Bitcoin, and if you were to take a look at it on Ethereum's not as clear, but don't be surprised to see a bounce up here over the next 24 hours and come back up to these levels around 2,000 once again, while we hover to continue to decide, do the bulls want to take control? Do the bears want to take control? But right now, what we're seeing on the charts, I think it's an encouraging sign. Even looking at this, is this over? Not necessarily, but anytime we're on the 4 hour chart, you see the RSI this low. Comparatively, this is the lowest we've seen the Ethereum 4 hour RSI since back here in March, when the prices of Ethereum were sitting down at 1,400. The fact that we're at those same levels on the RSI, the fact that we have massive bullish divergence, and yet the price is sitting at 1978, That to me is a major bullish sign for Ethereum. I still think crypto has upside to go. These are the types of days, though, that come in to shake the confidence of the bulls. For anyone out there who has a trading strategy, trading plan that you're similar to me, you're saying I'm looking at that 3600. I'm looking at that 36,000 for Bitcoin. I'm looking at that 2,400 for Ethereum, and then up from there. These are the days that want to shake your confidence in that and convince you to get out of your plan in trading early. And then, just so you guys know, this is exactly how this works for retail investors. We get this feeling, we're like, uh-oh, this isn't looking good. Ethereum and Bitcoin are down. Let me go ahead and take a little bit of profits. If I'm in a little bit of profit, let me try to take that now and jump out and look for a better spot. And then boom, the market takes off without us. And we're like, if I had freaking just been patient a little bit longer, I could have reaped the benefits. This is, did I say reaped the benefits?
I think you did.
You know, letters are important in the English
are.
language. They can really change words up dynamically. You would have reaped the rewards of being patient and sticking to your plan. And I'm telling you guys right now, if you guys had plans about those prices, those plans have not been ruined. Nothing has been killed just yet. We are not sitting in a spot where things are just out of control and the bears are massively taking back control. We're in a neutral zone, which means we need to pause and wait and watch. And I'm not going to be surprised to see the bulls take back control very, very soon. With that said, though, it is 9:32. That is the technical analysis on Bitcoin and Ethereum we're going to do. Make sure you guys stay with us, though. If you have questions, we didn't get to do much yesterday. I know we had JT Skinner. Shout out to him. I don't know if he's watching yet, but he wanted to do some link TA. We're going to be doing that in the third half hour between 10 to 10:30. So make sure if you have other altcoins you guys want to see some TA on, you got to stick around for that Q&A section. It is time to transition over into the stocks, though, with our boy T-Shroom. What are you seeing this morning, T-Shroom, in the stock world?
Over on the stock world?
Yeah, in that world. Or is it a planet?
It's a world.
Is it an ecosystem? Right, could be a galaxy.
It could be. It could be a celestial body.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and start in energy, as we do so often. And energy is selling off sharply this morning, guys. Oil down almost 4%, down 3.5%. Natural gas, not too well. Natural gas even lower. The futures contracts on natural gas is down 5.3, and the ETF for natural gas is down 4.2. Pretty precipitous declines there. Let's take a look at natural gas really quickly. Won't spend too much time on this. Let's see where it's coming in actually in accordance with its support. If I can get looks like it's fine. It's coming down right here on this support line put in by these highs back here on the 31st of March and the 11th of April. So it could see a bounce here. I'm not exactly sure what the fundamental story is there for natural gas getting sold this morning, but oil also getting sold this morning, down almost 6%, almost 6%, down 5% from those highs. And it was able to flip the dynamic reactor green for a while after that gap brought to you by OPEC, but it's looking now to slice back through that, and it's testing that as we speak. Already wick down as low as $79 per barrel. So we'll keep moving on. That is energy, and it is selling off this morning, guys, trying to help out those inflation numbers. All right, your Dow Jones, your NASDAQ, your S&P, all red on the day, and the NASDAQ is leading lower, down 0.5%. Your Dow Jones is the least down only 0.3%. So money staying in security more than staying in risk there. Interesting movements. Blood on the screen, guys. It's a bloodbath here in crypto. You don't see a single green name, and you don't even see a single green name that's in less than 1% loss right now. Actually, the biggest, the least loser is Tron, surprisingly. Everything else is down by more than 2%, it looks like. That is confirmed. That's good. Goodness gracious. So a very steep sell-off this morning in crypto. And we'll be exploring exactly why here in just a second in the stories section. And it's going to be AVAX, I believe, that was leading lower. Yeah, down 7.8%. All right. Lido also down 8.3%. All right. So also your metals, gold and silver, do continue lower. Gold down 0.8%, now 0.7% as I'm speaking. Let's look at the mega cap tech stocks here. Amazon, the only green name here. So guys, I mean, it's pretty clear that money is moving into cash this morning. It's moving into cash. I'm not seeing where it would be rotating quite yet. other than Amazon, but I doubt it would be a lot. It would be up about 6 or 7% if money was rotating solely into Amazon. So that's certainly not the case. Tesla has earnings later today. We'll talk about some of the details to expect there. And let's keep moving. Let's keep moving and let's keep grooving. Bond yields are up as well. So even the bonds are getting sold this morning. Let's keep moving. Your benchmark 10-year yield is up 0.9% there. Cannabis getting sold, and your microcap, your mid-cap tech stocks, of course, getting sold. Coinbase down 3.2%. Might be starting to get back into buy territory. On the daily, it's still above that equilibrium and still probably 2%, 6.5% off that dynamic reactor. So I may be hesitant to buy just yet into Coinbase. Maybe want to see that come down a little bit lower. Your big banks also getting sold off again, and your oil producers getting sold off. So where is the money going, guys? It's got to be the Dixie. I mean, it's got to be the dollar, and the Dixie is up very, very slightly. So kind of leaves you head scratching. Where is all the money going today? Maybe we'll find out at some
Probably
point.
going to Piper.
Yeah, it's all just going into Piper's pocket. That's right. All right. Well,
hey, can we keep that on the DL? Thanks. On the low. Keep that on the low. Thanks.
Sometimes you just got to pay the piper, is what happens.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yep. Boom.
Love it. All right, guys. Well, that is going to round out our market open. It's a bloodbath in the markets today. Everything's selling off. Bonds, energy, tech, oil producers. There's nothing really getting bought. I mean, you could make the argument Amazon's getting bought. It is. It's up 0.5%. But I mean, it's down pretty low still. It's definitely an underbought tech stock at this point. So I think it's probably has to do with earnings, guys. I think it's just money's rotating into the dollar, but that's really not reflected too much in the Dixie this morning. So interesting little bit of voodoo going on today in the markets. Well, before we get into our stories here, I just want to thank you guys for tuning in again to the newsletter. We've had a lot of really good feedback on that, and we're looking forward to this week's newsletter as well. It's going to probably have a lot more notes on Gary Gensler, of which we're going to be filling our ears with some of the blissful headlines here in just a second about that very man. So, Tim, are there anything else that we wanted to talk about before we get into the stories?
No, I mean, I could retouch. I completely forgot. I made a colossal mistake with my technical analysis, which happens to me from time to time. I had turned off my predicted reversal, which is one of the best things about Chart Prime. And if you were to go down here toward again, I told you guys on the hourly and 4-hour chart, we're getting this sideways kind of, trading channel. We did also, just to match with our oversold signals, we're getting a preferred reversal to the upside here on that as well. Nothing major. Just wanted to add that there's more confluence coming in. Again, could we go a little to the downside? Maybe. Could we come back down and touch this red line? Maybe. But we're seeing a lot of signals here. Again, even like what you were just saying, like the whole market is down this morning. That could have to do with gains we made yesterday. It also is it's a season of neither bulls nor bears have control right now on the shorter time frames, and you're gonna see a little bit of volatility. That is the reason why, though, if you know how, listen, I'm all about having a DCA and long-term investing strategy. I'm all about it. I have one myself. But these are the seasons. These are the times where, as a trader, you could be like, I'm going to take advantage of this. Like, even though we're in a little bit of a run right now, these are times, if you read this market well, it's not that hard to choose good times to long and short and make 2-3%. If you throw some leverage on that bad boy, not that I necessarily recommend it unless you have a lot of experience trading, but you throw some leverage on a 2 to 3% move, you can make some money. And that's why traders are loving what they're seeing right now with this sideways move. It's not going to last for a while. We're going to see the bulls or the bears take back control. But while you see this indecision in the market, if you're a trader, you're liking this. You're saying, I'm going to take advantage of this while it lasts. Mm-hmm. So with that said, though, we can go ahead and transition. I know do we have any promos, anything to promote today other than, again, I'm back to, someone said it's not 7 pixels. They said they count about 9. So I'll go with 9 pixel, Tim, is a good nickname for me for at least a little bit left next couple weeks.
Well, what I will say, we have two things I want to promo really quick. I'm in the description of this very video that you are watching, and this is the big one right here, guys. 45% off. We talk about it all the time. It's 45% discount off first month or quarter purchase of Chart Prime. You see it, it's tantalizing, it's delicious, all kinds of candy on our charts.
It's the
bringing you
best
delicious-
discount in the market.
Would you
That's
say, Piper, go to my screen, go to my camera real quick. Would you say, T-Shroom, that it's about as delicious as a bubbly bounce caffeinated sparkling water citrus cherry?
I would say that, but I can't tell because of how pixelated. If you're holding a can of bubbly or a hamster.
I think the
So-
pixels at least let you read bubbly, if I'm looking at that correctly.
I don't know.
Now, I could be completely lying about the flavor, that's for sure, but I'm not. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Look how clear you got there.
Well, maybe it's because
Yeah.
Can you guys read? Oh, there you go. You can see citrus cherry. Citrus cherry. I'm not lying because I'm not a liar. Is most of the reason why.
He had a hamster in his hand before it went clear. I'll say that. I will say that. All right, but yeah, there's that link that was very well illustrated there by that moment of fizzy water analysis.
Bubbly.
And
please get the name right. It's bubbly.
That's right, bubbly. And then also Robinhood. Robinhood is a place you can buy equities. If you're watching this channel, there's a chance that you've never even thought about buying stocks, and that's okay. But this is a link for Robinhood. You can go in there, you can buy some stocks, and you support the show. We're going to be talking a lot more about stocks because it's earnings seasons. But before we get into earnings, let's go ahead and get into our stories. We're going to start with this one right here, guys. Russia prepares draft law to allow crypto for international trade. Coming out this morning. Very interesting story here, guys.
Mm-hmm.
A recent report revealed that the central bank of Russia is weighing in on the possibility of using digital currencies like crypto for international settlements. In fact, a draft law is already being prepared. And this is a giant ad just hanging out right there.
Sponsored video, yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I don't know how to get rid of that. But all right, chairman of the central bank there of Russia, Elvira. Oh, that's a cool name. Elvira Nabulina. Interesting. Recently told that the regulator could use digital assets for settlements with foreign entities. So Russia is also in favor of internationalizing the Chinese yuan. So it's not like they're just pivoting super hard to only crypto, but they are also considering the yuan, and internationalizing it and making it more integrated. And Putin even said recently that around 2/3 of the trade between Russia and China happens with the yuan and the ruble. Yeah, we've heard that. If that's news to you, then, there is a very, very big growing narrative that Russia and China are trying to either create a third currency or make the yuan the world reserve currency. We'll see how that goes. I'm a pretty big skeptic of that. I think that the US dollar has a very, very long way to fall. It is very robust and fixed in our global economy, but you got to start somewhere. And so if the Chinese and the Russians want to band together and try to erode the legitimacy and the transactions of the dollar, then they better start at some point, So anyway, that is a pretty big story because this could absolutely lead to a lot more transactions for crypto. The question definitely would remain, what crypto is it that they're going to be trading with? And Tim, you may have some insights on that.
Let me tell you why this is significant, because let's say this story had not come out. We were just having a conversation about which currency will take power. Would it be the Chinese yuan? Would it be the US dollar? What I would have said is whichever currency or whatever country more aligns itself with cryptocurrency is going to be the one that takes more control, because a lot of power and value will be distributed via digital currency. And it's not like China is just there yet. I would still say, as crazy as it sounds, the United States is still more crypto friendly than China, but China's shifting. And then when we see with their allies, like things like this with Russia making this level of a shift, with the BRIC nations in general making kind of a shift into being very crypto friendly, I'm not necessarily ready to just say, oh, that's it. It's done. US dollar is dead for sure. It will never regain its power. But I can promise you it will not regain its power if the trajectory of what our countries are doing continue. If the United States does not fix its system, if we do not see a more regulational clarity that's friendly towards crypto, that allows innovation to happen with the United States, if we don't see that happen, the Chinese yuan is absolutely going to take its power. This isn't just a FUD headline. This isn't like let's see if we can scare some Americans. This is a reality that whoever gets to be more crypto friendly is going to be able to take more control. And unfortunately, we do not want that to be China and Russia, but that's how things are kind of flowing as it stands, which is why it's so important that we are talking to our congressman, which is why it's important. We're going to talk about Gary Gensler in a minute. It's important that we get him out of his position and get somebody who, I'm not saying just turn a blind eye to cryptocurrency. There are definitely some things in crypto that need regulation, but sensible, good crypto regulation in the United States would be a game changer for the US dollar's dominance as well. Eventually, it doesn't matter who. Both Chinese yuan and the US dollar are going to eventually be taken over by some other form of digital currency, CBDC, Bitcoin, whatever. But we're talking about countries with power. It doesn't matter the US dollar has the control. It's the fact that the United States, with the backing that they back the US dollar, they can keep so much global dominance and control because of what the US dollar does. That's going to shift over to China. If the United States becomes more crypto friendly, it doesn't matter what the US dollar does. We can continue to be a more global leader and the more dominant country that helps things flow the right way. That being said, though, again, if people are shaking their, I understand that thing. I understand it's like, the dollar's been so valuable for so long. America, we always say America's number one. I love the show. It's like the saying is America's number one, not number two. But it's a very real thing that we could lose control to China and to Russia because we continue to fight crypto adoption. That needs to change very soon.
Yeah. And I hold the position that the United States has a lot further to fall than the media is making it seem. But absolutely, there does seem to be a growing resistance and a growing boldness. It seems to be led by China to question the reserve currency status of the dollar. But again, I think that they're at square one of like a 2,000 square game here, and it's a lot smaller of an impact than you might think. But you're absolutely right, Tim. And this is kind of the next big story. It was yesterday. Gary Gensler, the chairman of the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, was grilled on Capitol Hill, specifically by this man right here, Mr. McHenry, the chairman there of Congress, I believe, was just getting absolutely torn to shreds. There's clips of it all over the internet, and I encourage you to go find some of those. It's only 4 minutes. It's a lot of fun to listen to. And it's just it's a lot of fun to listen to these. But I mean, the reality is, guys, is towards the end of this clip specifically and other clips that I was listening to, and I did have the pleasure of getting to watch a little bit of it, of the actual hearing. It looks like Gary might be on his way out. We kind of speculated at the beginning of this show how long he might have, but this could potentially be a serious development that could send Bitcoin to the moon. I mean, that's what I believe. And Ethereum and most other, that would trigger an alt season as well. Having this one man removed would be bullish, and it doesn't even need to necessarily have the details of what would happen next. Because this man has just shown himself to be so anti-freedom in the crypto space, so anti-innovation. And in this hearing, it really became clear that he not only doesn't know he not only is anti-crypto, but he's reaching a point now where he can't defend his position anymore. It's whatever plan that he and the deep state was working out here has come to an end, and he didn't have enough congressional members on board to continue down that road. So again, I go ahead and I urge you to go ahead and watch some of those clips and have some fun today and really enjoy that. But let's keep moving here, guys, because it wasn't only Gary Gensler. Coinbase is about to go to court with the SEC. This is with Brian Armstrong. So Coinbase in particular is under fire from the SEC, which issued the firm Coinbase a Wells notice earlier this month, which is a notice warning of the intention to sue the company. It stated that Coinbase had violated federal securities laws, which Armstrong suspects are related to the assets listed on the exchange, as well as its staking and service product. Staking as a service product. The CEO said that the SEC had never notified the exchange about what it could be doing better to remain compliant across 30 plus meetings. So again, just showing that the SEC is willing to freeze the process here, willing to go against the most compliant operators in the crypto space. Well, Armstrong said, I think we're going to have to actually end up going to court to get the clarity we need and create the case law, he said, referring to judicial precedents in the United States. That's what we operate under. So a very big case that would be, absolutely. And, but if there's anybody who's going to win it, it's going to be the legal team there of Coinbase, as they have been extremely compliant. And the fact that they're getting sued now by getting a Wells notice by the SEC is extremely important. Now, it's not, they did not just get this. They got the Wells notice, what, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. But now it's looking like they're going to be taking steps to go to court instead of settling outside of court. So the same decision that Ripple made, and this is favorable. This is bullish. Ultimately, just settling would be bad. That would be bad precedent. So, because that's just saying, yeah, what we did was wrong. And it's very ambiguous at this point. What was wrong? Well, that's a lot of scaries. That's a lot of scaries for our Wednesday, but let's have a little fun. And Pepe rallies, the Pepe coin rallies 500x as investors pile into a new wave of meme coins. Single MEV bot accounts for 7% of daily Ethereum gas usage. So that's pretty crazy right there. I believe this means basically that there's there's coins that you can create on top of Ethereum's blockchain. That's what this is. And an entire 7% of the daily Ethereum gas usage was used for just this Pepe coin. So that's pretty insane. There's one of them, and then there's the Wojak one as well. And I have a couple of details that I wanted to bring to your attention. It's a double-edged sword, said Ryan Watkins, the co-founder of Syncrecy Capital, a crypto-focused hedge fund. He thinks meme coin's success has a mixed effect on the digital asset space. It's a double-edged sword, he told the Defiant on Telegram. On one hand, meme coins make crypto more fun and accessible. On the other, they reaffirm many skeptics' criticisms that the industry's only use case is gambling. So very interesting. And of course, yeah, there's all kinds of videos out there detailing the crazy ascent there of Pepe. And I have brought up the CoinGecko charts here to show you guys that Pepe is now 301 rank on in the market cap, by market cap. And on the meme coin list, just the top meme coins on market cap, you've got your Doge, you've got your Sheeb, the ones you'd expect, but Pepe is now in the top 10, and it looks like it's in number 6 right now of the top meme coins. So pretty crazy. I myself, I don't think that meme coins are bad, because I think that, the world loves memes. People love memes. They haven't been with us for more than 10 years. But people like it. People like memes. I don't think that they're really bad. I don't think that they're a toxin. They do sop up some liquidity, but that's ultimately, I think, worth it. I think they're a lot of fun. But Tim, I want to throw it over to you. What do you think about meme coins? What do you think about the rise of Pepe here? Did you get in early, or are you sorry that you didn't get any Pepe coins there?
I don't think that anyone should get into these coins. I think you should buy bubbly, caffeinated sparkling water. No, I'm just kidding. No, these are. I understand why people enjoy the fun part of this, but this still shows you the crypto space is not necessarily fully mature where it'll get to be. The fact that we do see, you said, I mean, I didn't read the story. Did you say 500x on the Pepe coin?
500x.
All right. In the time right now, 500x on a coin like that is absolutely, everyone who invests in that they don't care about their money. And if they do care about their money, they need to learn a lot more about crypto before they do this. This was just for fun. Let's just see what happens here. The irony of this Pepe meme, which is a massive meme going, it's been a massive meme for a long time. This is just really fun. It's like buying tokens. I guarantee you it's like people who buy like tokens on like video games to just add up things. They don't really care. That was disposable money. They're not looking to really make money from it. And again, for anyone who thinks, man, I could make some great money off this Pepe token, you are in for a world of trouble. Of course, there's that one brilliant guy, or 2 brilliant guys, I don't know, maybe there's 3 of them even, that knows, man, I'm gonna just take so much money from these idiots, and I'm going to watch this thing pump and then just take all my profits and walk away while people lose every single dollar they have. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff you do here. But I mean, I just saw Alex Green say short it, in all caps, which, by the way, Alex, I'm going to send you another warning. Please do not use all caps. That goes for not only Discord, but also here in YouTube. You are banned from using all caps. Anyway, so don't touch this at all. I mean, non-financial advice, you guys can do whatever you want. Let's go back into story time. Tim Warren is not going to touch these coins, whether longing or shorting whatsoever, because there's nothing that you can predict about them. The TA does not work on them. The fundamentals do not work on them. Even if, I would venture to say, even if you're in like maybe a Reddit page or you're in a community, those will not be reliable. You can't trust the words of people who are like, oh, let's go and pump this thing up. Because what if they're just trying to get you to go buy so they can take profit? What if they say, oh, we're going to short this thing? And then in reality, they're just buying more so it keeps going up. I'm not going to short, long, or do anything that has to do with these meme coins because there's no logic to them. These are people who just think it's funny to do things, and that's not anything you should be touching with your real hard-earned money if you're looking for long-term investments.
Piper, what are your thoughts on this?
So I am of the mindset that, if you want to throw, whatever your economic situation is, your fiscal situation, but, for me, example, I might throw $100 in PayPay. Not right now. I would wait for a good pullback, but I would throw $100 in it. Why is that? Because $100 in Shiba Inu before it ran up 46 million % is, it's like buying a lottery ticket. That's what I would look at it as. It's not an investment. It's not something that I'm going to hodl forever. It's something that I'm literally going to go buy a lottery ticket. I'm going to throw my $100 in, scratch it off, see if I got a winner there, right? It's okay to put money that you're not afraid to lose into a meme coin, if you understand that you may not get anything ever back from it. So,
yeah. I mean, guys, this one to me is not rocket science. We're the investing bros, so obviously meme coins are not an investment, right? But if you're treating crypto, if you're treating the stock market like a casino, then this is a lot of fun. This is the best you can hope for, right? This is fun. It's fun. You come to a casino to have fun. If you want to treat things the way you want to treat, if you want to eat, go out to Krispy Kreme and buy 50 boxes of donuts and eat all of them in one day, go do it. If that's what you think is going to be really fun. Are there going to be consequences to that? Yeah, but you should have the freedom to do that. All over the world. In America, we have the freedoms to do things that hurt ourselves, and I am all for that. Surprise, surprise. That's just the reality of it. But if you are thinking that Pepe coin is going to be what enables you to buy a home in a year or two, then you're being very foolish, right? But I still think that you should have the freedom to be foolish. So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts.
I was going to say also things like Dave and Buster's, or like the kids love the Chuck E. Cheese,
Yeah.
But it's this concept of like you're going to spend $50 to get this card to go play all these games that you earn these points, and then you go turn these points in and you get like a little yo-yo or something. Like it's to go have fun. If you have fun looking at these meme coins and watching what they do, and you're like, let me get involved and let me just say I own Pepe coin just for the kicks and giggles of it. Yeah, do it. But do not expect this in the same way, no matter how much, if you're going to go to Dave and Buster's, you could buy anything on that wall probably for like $50 or less. And yet you're going to probably spend well over $300 to get the tokens to actually be able to buy it with your tokens. Don't think it's going to be a good deal.
It's a little fantasy land. We've been oppressed by these fiat coins for so long, and now we're getting to take back the power of money. And we're throwing a little party. We're making some seemingly nihilistic, satire of money, the concept in and of itself. So it goes beyond just fun. It goes on into, pretty sophisticated commentary if you want to look at it that way. Anyway, all right. So moving on, those are the meme coins, guys.
Hold on, Eric Wallen said so. Tim is not going to touch the PayPay.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah, and I think that we should go to Vegas.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Gambling license. We should go to Vegas and get a gambling license, and we should set it up where you get free drinks when you're there and everything. It's an exchange that literally does nothing but trades meme coins.
Interesting.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, we'll just do that in Vegas.
That'd be kind of cool. Well, it's not Vegas, but it is fun, and that's MicroStrategy stock. Price more than doubled in 2023 in lockstep with Bitcoin. This shouldn't come as a surprise to you if you know what MicroStrategies is, but MicroStrategy stock MSTR is roughly 140% year to date to $350 per share. It's up that much. its highest level since September of last year. It mirrored Bitcoin's 90% year-to-date gains, maintaining a strong positive correlation with the top cryptocurrency. So this article goes on to break down MicroStrategies in a lot more detail because, after all, it is earnings season. But ultimately, the share price is moving with Bitcoin. That is a good sign, especially if you are Michael Saylor, one of the leaders over there, joining the Bitcoin movement with his corporation, really putting his money where his mouth is. There's few leaders in the space who have done something so significant. All right, guys. Well, that's really the crypto stories today. The biggest one I would say is that Gary Gensler could be on the way out here very soon. I'm even giving it in the next 30 days is a possibility, just by the way that the congressmen were talking to him, and really, really, just the tone was just they wanted to take back their time of everything he said, and that indicates to me that nothing that he says is being taken as truth. Nothing that he says is useful for actual discourse, and certainly they do not believe that he is working in the interests of those who he serves, which is you and it's me, right? Americans. And if you're not an American watching this, sorry, you know what I mean. So that's definitely the biggest story here in crypto. If he was to get removed, it is my belief that Bitcoin could easily see 100,000 by the end of this year. Will it see 1 million? I don't know.
End of this year?
Yeah, definitely. Bitcoin seeing 100,000 by the end of this year. It is possible if Gary Gensler was removed. That is my belief. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying that's my belief. It's okay, Tim. How far do you think Bitcoin? How high do you think Bitcoin would go if Gary Gensler was removed?
Well, let's start off by saying, as good as it would be for Bitcoin as well, Bitcoin is not really Gary Gensler's biggest. He doesn't really go that hard against that. I'm talking about altcoins will be the biggest benefactor.
No, you're right.
Anti-Gensler answer. Either way, I mean, there's still a lot of other factors that will affect the prices of crypto and Bitcoin other than Gary Gensler. Don't get me wrong. I think that would be very nice. And I absolutely think by the end of next bull run, definitely over 100,000, especially with Gary gone. I think by the end of 2023 is a little aggressive. And the reason I'm saying that is because, like we said, I would not be surprised to see Gary Gensler out of his current position before the end of 2023. What I'm not going to go and say, though, is that it's going to see also a 100,000. And remember, I also said, you guys said 2 months. I think it's going to take a little bit longer than 2 months. Watch us go through again a little pump, whether we top out at 36, 42, 50. I'm still holding on to those levels, but watch us have the massive pullback this summer. Gary's still in position. We're watching him continue to go after Coinbase. This isn't going to be an overnight thing that he's going to be kicked out. He still has some friends, over not only in Congress but in Senate that will try to hold on to him as long as possible.
But he's the head of the snake.
But my point is, 100,000, that's rich. Could we see the bull market start off in 2023 due to, along with a lot of other things happening, also the removal of Gary Gensler, and maybe by the end of 2023, I still think asking for anything higher than 50K before the end of 2023 is asking for a lot. But could we be well on our way? And then quarter one of 2024 is high for me. I think quarter 2 or 3 for an $100,000 Bitcoin price in 2024, that's what I'm kind of looking at for 100,000. That might even still be a little rich. I would not be surprised to see us even, it's quarter 4 before we see 100,000. And then in 2025, that's when we see the real momentum start to come in.
So here's why I think that 100,000 could be in play. Guys, am I taking the number 100,000? I'm not being very precise with that, right? I'm just saying Bitcoin could see upside of very, very significance, right? If Gary Gensler was removed, and here's why. Because one thing that I think people have forgotten about is the spot ETF narrative, right? We have ETFs traded on the NASDAQ, traded on the New York Stock Exchange. That is the futures contracts of Bitcoin, right? And that only does so much. People really want the spot ETF. And if there was a spot ETF that went through, that would potentially, that is what that spot ETF narrative, the ETF narrative of Bitcoin, I know I'm saying a lot here, was a big factor in Bitcoin's last really big bull rally, really big bull market up to $69,000. So what could happen, and Gary Gensler is really the only thing stopping that Bitcoin spot ETF going through. Now, there could be other, institutions that rise up. Maybe the CFTC has a problem with that. But that's why I think Bitcoin specifically has upside, is because if Gary Gensler was removed, is because of that spot ETF narrative. Now, I think Ethereum probably could get up even higher than that. By that, I mean like a 4,000, like a 400% increase up to 10,000. Now, again, I'm being very crude with these estimates. I'm not using the charts really to make these estimates. I'm just saying that there's so much pent up demand because of this one man who has a lot of power at the SEC, a lot of power from an optics standpoint and from an enforcement standpoint. If he was removed, crypto would be loosed. The chains on crypto and the negative propaganda that seems to be emanating from that chairman's seat in the SEC, it would be gone, would be removed. And who knows who would replace him? Who knows who Congress would have the audacity to replace him with? They could replace him with Michael Saylor. Just kidding. But maybe. You never know.
I want to hear what Piper has to say too, but I want to kind of slow the roll though there, T-Shroom, because I hear you. I understand the concept of if he goes out, we could finally get a spot ETF. Great stuff, right? Long term. In the same way that NASDAQ allowing you to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum coming out later this year, probably May-ish or June-ish, is going to be long-term bullish. Do not be surprised if it comes with volatility at first, because you not only have a new option to long Bitcoin with a spot ETF, you also now have a new option to short it.
It's true.
And watch the power struggle happen there. Another reason why, again, 100. I think even asking for a new all-time high. Let's even bring your thing down and say 70,000 before the end of 2023 if Gary Gensler leaves. I think even that is rich, because as good as that will be for a long-term picture for Bitcoin and Ethereum and will bring massive adoption in the space. Massive adoption comes with the good and the bad. And it's a little bit of volatility that has to play out before all of the good fully fleshes itself out. And again, 4-year cycle, it doesn't, if a 4-year cycle continues, which at this point, just so we know, we should all be rooting for the 4-year cycle to continue to play out. Because if the 4-year cycle breaks and we have the economic disaster that is just on the doorstep, that could get rough. But I do believe we're seeing the 4-year cycle continue. And what we see in a 4-year cycle, let's go back. 2019, we're in the same realm of 2019. We get this pre-bull market rally. We get up to golden pocket. We have a 50% crash. We trade sideways. Hopefully we get no pandemic there in the middle. And then we start I can't remember the exact date, but it's like 100 days before the halving or something, or not even quite 100. It's like 60 something. We start the actual real bull market. When is that happening? It's a year from now, April of next year, March or April of next year. We want that cycle to continue. And for that cycle to continue, asking for 100,000 or even a brand new high in 2023 would actually somewhat be a breaking of the 4-year cycle. And we don't necessarily want to see that happen just yet.
True. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of factors here.
Piper, what are your thoughts? And we'll transition after this into Q&A.
Well, we do have the earnings. I know.
We'll include that in there.
Yeah, I absolutely think that if there's a spot ETF approved, which would be obviously post removal of anti-spot ETF Gary Gensler, if that happens, and the SEC, because it's very possible that the judge may go, look, I thought that he might have had a little bias, but he was trying to stay in the center of law and said, I think that Gary Gensler didn't really handle this right, but if he sees him get fired by Congress for mishandling and just overstepping, that might sway that judge's bias just enough to go, I'm going to side with the SEC here. Or he may go, I think that this entire case needs to be thrown out and start over, because I don't think that this was started with good intentions and good regulation. All kinds of things could happen from this with the SEC. If the SEC thing happens and the spot ETF thing happens, I don't think that T-Shroom's estimation for where we could be at the end of the year is crazy at all. So,
well, then we're going to have a fight, the three of us, and I will have to convince you with my fists.
Hopefully the fight isn't who can have the clearest picture on their...
Hey, now.
I'm down.
That's dirty. What I make up for my pixels with my fists.
Right.
And so
I love it.
We'll have to see. Yeah.
I love it. All right. Moving into earnings, guys. Hopefully won't take too much time here, but I do want to be somewhat comprehensive of what went down yesterday and what to expect from earnings later this week. Netflix reports mixed earnings as password crackdown set to expand. The company said it shifted a a wider launch of a plan to crack down on unsanctioned password sharing into the second quarter to make improvements, delaying some financial benefits, but said it was pleased with results so far. Revenue and earnings for the first quarter came in roughly in line with the average analyst estimate from Revenfix. Reventive. Earnings per share hit $2.88 with revenue of $8.16. I don't know why they have 3 decimal points there. Billion. Okay. And we are growing and we are profitable. Co-chief executive Ted Saradanos said in the company's post-earnings video interview, "We have a clear path to accelerated growth in both revenue and profit, and we are executing." I've never seen that co-chief executive. That's interesting. All right. Well, that's Netflix. Let me reread this. Earnings per share hit $2.88 with revenue of $8.1 billion. There you go. That's the correct way to read English sentences and words there. Morgan Stanley, on the other hand, tops analyst expectations on better than expected trading results. There he is, Morgan Stanley CEO James Gorman. We're going to be reading a quote from him in just a second. Earnings of $1.70 per share versus $1.62 Reventive estimate. So they beat revenue of $14.5 billion versus $13.9 billion estimate, also a beat. So that is really, really good for Morgan Stanley. And then there was there's a couple of things I wanted to point out here. At the start of the conference call with Gorman addressed the turmoil sparked by the March collapse of 2 American regional banks. He said, "In my view, we are not in a banking crisis, but we have had and may still have a crisis among some banks." That is a very strange sentence. Gorman said, "I consider the condition not remotely comparable to 2008. And then this sentence basically points out that Goldman sucks, while JP Morgan, Citi, Wells Fargo, and Bank of America have topped expectations. So the big banks are doing well, guys, except for Goldman Sachs. Now, these are some of the earnings reports you can expect later this week. They're way off to the side. Here, let me see if I can zoom in a little better. Not this week, today. Tesla, IBM, Lam Research, Alcoa, which is an aluminum manufacturer, Discover Financial Services, Kinder Morgan, and then a couple other, Zions Bank Corporation, I believe that's a regional bank, and Liberty Energy, and then Crown Castle International, actually one that I'm invested in. So I'm hoping that this one is going to make a comeback here because I'm a little bit down on it. Anyway, those are your earnings for today. Tesla, obviously, by far the biggest one there. So let's read a little bit about that. Tesla cuts prices again ahead of Q1 earnings report. Pretty crazy here. On the eve of the highly anticipated earnings report, Tesla slashes price of its Model 3 and Model Y EVs yet again. And in fact, bringing one of them below $40,000. That's right, $40,000 for that EV, and I don't believe that includes the tax rebate. Tesla has now cut prices of its Model 3 by 11% this year alone, and its base Model Y prices have fallen by 20%, according to calculations done by Reuters. There's a Tesla right there. Look at that's the Model Y. Wall Street is expecting Tesla to report $23.37 billion in top-line revenue and EPS of $0.86 billion on adjusted basis. That revenue figure would represent a slight dip from the 24 million Tesla reported in Q4, but 24.6% higher than a year ago. In terms of profit, Tesla is expected to report adjusted net income of $3.03 billion, $1 billion less than last quarter, and $700 million less than a year ago, with revenue staying flattish and profit dipping. The effects of margin compression could be at play here. And margin compression was kind of what was being anticipated here in Q1, but so far corporations, I have to be honest, corporations have bucked that trend, and their marginal compression has actually been favorable for investors. So we'll be definitely looking at Tesla's earnings here at the end of the day. I believe those go out at 4 o'clock at the closing bell, and then obviously hearing Elon Musk there on the conference call.
Oh, look, it's my sisters.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. That's gonna round out the earnings report there, so we can go ahead and get into the Q&A section.
Yeah, there we go. Look, there we go. See, yeah, I look just like them.
Oh, because they're blurry.
Yeah,
I did not put two and two together.
Thank you for catching up to the joke. Yeah. That makes me feel good. We start off as we get into our Q&A section. Rick Wilson already asked some questions here. T-Shroom, can you show default swaps? Is that info available?
There's many default swaps. So there's default swaps on corporations, on real estate. So you have to be more specific. Do you mean on Tesla? I'm not really sure. So most
Not
very
really sure
large
either.
entities that
No,
have
he
some
said
kind of issue.
bank credit default swaps.
Okay. Can I show that? I can see if I can dig something up on it. Yeah.
While you're looking at that, Matt C says, Investing Bros, let's not assume that Gensler is removed, that if he is removed, that his replacement will be crypto friendly. He or she may continue the FUD. I think that's a good point, Matt. I do expect, especially due to some of the reasons why he will be removed, it would make sense that he's going to be replaced with a let's not necessarily go like crypto like massive advocate, but at least someone who's at least more neutral and fair. That's been one of the biggest problems with Gensler and the SEC is they're not even consistent with their rationale. Like 2 years ago, he's saying that Algorand is a great product. Now they're calling it a security. He approves this thing over here, but then disapproves of this. Literally, the likes of Coinbase, Binance, they actually had whole meetings asking, what can we do to stay within compliance? Got no response whatsoever there, and then out of the blue get hit with these lawsuits as if they've been breaking the rules and going against the SEC, when in reality they were going out of their way to work with. It was almost like it's like Gary didn't even want crypto companies to have the ability to do what's right. He just wanted to. There was a quote. I think Matt he texted me a quote the other day, which was a great quote. Let me see if I can find this for a second. And he said he was going to steal it. Let me see. Yeah, he said, just heard a really good quote about a random regulation implemented. This feels like a rule in search of a problem. A great way to put it. It's literally like Gary Gensler did not want anyone to know what the rules were so that he could just create a problem to create FUD. What I'm saying is, Matt, I think, again, could we see a crypto-friendly person? We could. But I think at the very least, we're going to see a person who comes in and says, hey, I'm not going to necessarily be pro or against crypto. We're going to create some rules. It's going to make it so that we protect people. And as long as you play by the rules, you can do what you need to do. And again, that's literally all Brian Armstrong and Coinbase have been asking for. That's all that CZ and Binance with Binance.us, because I know people say they're different companies, but let's be real, they're not. All they want is to know the rules. Once these companies and these exchanges know the rules, when cryptos know the rules, they can either choose to follow them or not follow them. But Gary Gensler has made that literally impossible to do so. So, due to the nature of him being removed, I'm expecting someone else to, at worst, come in and be a common sense person that stays consistent. Let's see. Did you find anything else about that? The question, T-Shroom, about the bank swaps?
I am continuing to research that.
While he does that, I'm going to do some. We told you guys yesterday we would do some Chainlink TA, and then Piper. While I'm doing Chainlink, Crux of Crypto said, "Could you guys take a look at ARB? Because ARB, I guess he said it's been performing well or been volatile or something." So let's go share my screen here real quick, Piper. And we'll look at Link, which of course Link had been on a nice little run here on the daily chart. Then of course yesterday, pretty much all the gains we'd made within the last 2 days on Link when it was explosive, we just went ahead and got rid of them. Right now, we technically would have a bearish engulfing candle, but there's a lot of day left before we can really close and make that. Before we can make that final call. Also, the fact that we're still sitting, in this shorter time frame, if I were to go to the 4-hour chart. In this, we're still setting higher highs and higher lows. So I'm not necessarily too worried. You guys know we've talked about this. Chainlink on the shorter time frames was in a ascending triangle, which traditionally with these flat tops and rising levels of support, we didn't play in the support line beautifully, but it still plays out. We should still be able to see a $9.43 Link. This kind of lines up perfectly with the same levels that we have with Bitcoin getting up above 42,000, with Ethereum getting up above 3. So do not be surprised. Again, we are having a little cool off. The entire space cooled off, and not just crypto. Even the stock market, as T-Stream showed earlier, had a little bit of a red day. This does not mean that the rally for Chainlink is over, but I want to show you guys even something cooler. We've talked about this before, but this just goes to kind of confirm what I was saying earlier about these sideways ranges where neither the bulls nor the bears have control. Traders love this. So just take a look over here with me, everybody. Going back to where we bottomed out, which is kind of crazy. Chainlink, it matched it double bottomed here, but Chainlink during the big dip back in May of 2022 has not set a lower low. Now, it's been ranging between $5.32, $5.29, give or take, and then up towards, let's just call it $9.50, somewhere in that region. Technically went a little bit above that to $9.68, but we've been in this nice range. Look at these signals. Is every single one perfect? I don't know if perfect's the right word, but if you have chart prime oscillators and you're looking at this sideways channel on the daily chart, just look at some of these signals. Oversold, bottom. Peak seeker went up. Overbought, went down. Peak seeker went back up. Overbought, came back down. These have been perfect. These signals have been calling the tops and bottoms perfect, which is what I'm kind of getting at, is that when you see this sideways trading, it makes it so easy to be a trader and not be emotionally invested and just say, when I see bullish indicators, I'm going long. When I see bearish indicators, I'm going short. And we're playing these perfectly. Even yesterday, we had on the daily chart, we had a flash that was overbought. We're coming back down. Now, whether or not we're going to wait for an oversold signal, I think you'd have to ask for a lot before that. But do not be surprised to see these signals continue to play out pretty nicely. I would go ahead, based off how the market is moving, get out. If you enter a short here because you saw that pop up, great decision. You might want to get out of it because you're looking at confluence of other things. You're looking at support levels. But this goes to just further my point. When you're a trader, or if you want to add trading to your game, you look for these channels, these sideways movements, and this is the most beautiful thing in the world. You can make so much money despite the fact that the asset you're trading is kind of staying boring and just moving sideways. You as a trader can both be shorting and longing and making a lot of money doing it. So that's what I'm seeing here. I think Chainlink, it removes some losses, but I still think we're moving in the longer terms to the upside. That is a little disconcerting to me. I don't love that came in here, although as a trader, you're just like, all right, let's do it. That seems great. But don't be surprised to see that begin. Again, I'm even kind of predicting, I don't think that we're going to get another rejection up here at 943. I think we might hesitate. I think the time of Chainlink sideways movement is coming to a close. Do not be surprised. Oh, sorry, 943 doesn't line up with that. 943 kind of lines up with Bitcoin getting up to like 36. Do not be surprised to see Chainlink break through this very, very long-term resistance dating all the way back to June of 2022. And then when you trade these breakouts of sideways channels, this prediction, you just take the length of the channel, you move it over to the breakout point, and this could give us a Chainlink price of just below $14. We're looking around $13.96, $13.90, give or take. That's what I still see coming. That price would correlate with maybe like a Bitcoin move up to 50,000, an Ethereum move up to 3,000, 3,600, give or take, a Cardano up to 70 cents. That's what we're seeing happen on the Chainlink chart. Not too much changing there. Just updating you guys. Still looking bullish on the more long-term angles. So let's see. T-Shirm, are you ready? Or Piper, are you ready?
Am I ready? I posted it in these markets are not really transparent to the public because these assets are only really tradable by very large banks because you're essentially buying insurance because you have exposure to banks that could go bankrupt. So if I'm Goldman Sachs and I'm wanting to invest in JP Morgan a bunch of money, right? I might buy some credit default swaps in the event that JP Morgan went belly up, right? So if I'm just an individual retail investor, this is not a product, not an instrument I'm really interested in purchasing. But the reason why I suspect you're asking is because, yes, it's unavailable to the retail market, but these big banks, the prices of those, essentially the premiums on those credit default swaps can go up and down. And unfortunately, to access what those premiums look like, you have to have subscriptions to either ICE data services or Markit, that's Markit data services. And then you can find real-time data of those credit default swaps. But my guess is that those subscriptions are probably not going to be worth it for you. And that what I would recommend is just typing in American banking credit default swaps on Google, and then hitting news and seeing kind of what articles are being written by people who do have those subscriptions. I certainly don't. But what I would say is I see the direction of the question you're asking, and more than likely those big banks credit default swaps are not moving to the downside, meaning they're not at any more risk of bankruptcy, versus those regional banks probably have been repriced to the downside, meaning that there is probably a larger increase of bankruptcy for those regional banks. But of course, without those subscriptions to either of those services I listed, Ice Data or Market, you're not going to be able to know that. So your best bet is to try to Google for articles from people who have subscriptions to those market data sources.
Awesome. All right, Piper, what are you seeing over on the ARB chart?
So looking at ARB here, guys, we did get a rejection right off the top frame of our predictive ranges. This is from the Smart Money Concept. Predictive ranges, top frame, bottom frame. Here's your trade circle. Tim, what do you got going on over there? Is Beamer tearing out your house? Is he remodeling? Or?
No.
Somebody is spraying the side of the house.
They told us, but this is last week, and then they just never came, so I thought they forgot. They told us they were going to pressure wash the house. But yeah, it sounds like we're in like a tsunami. And speaking of tsunamis, if you go to your local store and get a bubbly bounce caffeinated sparkling water citrus cherry, it's like a tsunami in your mouth.
Oh, that's the citrus cherry?
Yeah,
that one's so delicious.
This is citrus cherry. Better than the blueberry pomegranate. But you know what's even better than blueberry pomegranate and citrus cherry? The rest of the ARB chart that we can get back to during our tsunami.
Let's do that. Let's do that. So we did get the rejection off the top there. Got a lot of support on this upper trade band that had been previous support for us, finally breaking down through it overnight. We are now back at the delta line of these predictive ranges here, so I do suspect that we could come up. However, looking at the charts, I do see the oversold when this is coming up. I do see the MACD signal line is about to cross there, and I'm going to go ahead and mute you guys just for a second so that I don't have that sound coming through. We do have the histogram coming up here also and about to go back into the zero line. So a few bullish things there. But what I want to show you is if I turn on my old trend fib-based extensions here, and what this is giving you golden pockets going up to the 1.618, the 2.618, the 3.618, so on and so forth. We can see that we had massive amounts of play on this phase 2, and now we have pulled back to the phase 1, which is this previous cluster here. Could this come back down into the actual retracement and out of the extension zones? It absolutely could. And I will show you, if I throw on my fib strategy, it actually looks like it could be coming in all the way down at $1.35. What this does is it measures from this top to this bottom right here. And if you get a pullback that rejects in the golden pocket from a move, you typically tend to go and hit phase 1 or the target 1, target 2, target 3, and target 4 back down at $1.35. If I go ahead and lay over that trend-based extension there, you'll see that that's going to line up perfectly with the 50% line of that original retracement, or the 0.382. I'm sorry. Nope, was it the 50? It might have been the 50. Yeah, it was the 50. So yeah, not the 382. I was wrong on that, but it is going to be right there on that 50 line where that is going to hit that negative 1.618 there. So very possible we could be getting this rejection and going down that far. But again, we do have some bullish structure that is showing in here that could keep us afloat, Tim. So
awesome. Well, I don't know if you've unmuted us yet. Can they hear us now?
Oh yeah, you were only muted on that scene, bro.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Yeah, the tsunami it ceased for a minute, but that's right in time to go ahead and start wrapping up today's show. I want to thank every single one of you guys for joining us. You know what? There's 2 of you out there that have not smashed the like button. Get us to 100. T-Shroom, have you smashed the like button?
I did.
Okay, just making sure, because sometimes I feel like I catch you slacking.
Is that the way you feel?
Sometimes I definitely feel like you slack.
Slacker, Tim.
There's been moments. I think he's getting better, though. There's improvement. Let's not talk about it after the show.
Lock it up, Lieutenant.
I'm working on it.
Well, guys, we had a great show today. Thank you so much for joining us. If you guys were new here and you have not already, make sure you're subscribed to the Investing Bros channel. We are the most generous and most collaborative community in all of crypto YouTube. Thank you so much for being with us here. We'll see some of you guys later this afternoon, again, over in the Chart Prime Discord with TA Talks. We will have Crypto Archie there, giving us all the lowdown on what you should be looking for with some small cap altcoins. Also talking about his frustrations and failures he had to overcome to get where he is right now. You don't want to miss it. For the rest of you, though, we will see you tomorrow morning, same place, same time. You guys have a fantastic day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Congrats, you made it to the end of another great episode of Investing Bros. Want more great content like this? Join us for TA Talk over on Chart Prime Trading Discord, a weekly show where I and my co-host T-Shroom come together to talk about the fundamental analysis of markets and macroeconomic events while sharing our insights and opinions on crypto and traditional finance market space. TA Talks will also be offering some very personal one-on-one opportunities to ask questions to a special lineup of guests that we're going to bring to you. You might even hear a few great personal stories about common mistakes and some psychology failures that we've all experienced and how we got through them. Getting access to this special weekly show is simple. TA Talks is an exclusive event to all Investing Bros Patreon and Chart Prime Indicator subscribers. Check the description below to find those links to join. Get signed up today and join us every Wednesday for TA Talk. Don't miss out on this great content so you can stay ahead of the market game. We can't wait to see you on the next TA Talk.